Bonnie, what are all these people doing here? Hi. Before I get started, I wanted to, number one, thank Bonnie for inviting me, but also to thank all the people who were involved in making this happen. It's a real Herculean task to put something like this together. And there's a whole crew of people backstage that are making all this happen, and I'm very, very grateful to those people. So over the next few days, we're going to look at a lot of awesome design. We're going to hear some truly great people speak, and hopefully we're going to leave here with some new ideas, inspiration, and hopefully a strengthened love of what we do. So, happy birthday. I want to dedicate my presentation to, hopefully, here it is, to Michael Cronin, who passed away earlier this year. I may get a little mushy here, but Michael, I'm sure most of you know who he is, continues to be, one of the finest human beings ever met. A remarkable person. And the work that Michael and his wife Karen that Karen continues to do, we all know that. But for me, Michael personified everything that this is about. He worked from the head, he worked from the heart, he was a fantastic artist. So this is for Michael. The basis of I have all these stupid fucking notes here they're a mess, you know. You write all this shit and you go, oh God, oh. And then you go, this is not working. And so I'll probably just wing it, but and I had asked for a fifth of Grey Goose, and anyway. So the foundation of this presentation is about what inspires us, or what inspires me. I'll be selfish and say this is what inspires me. And it's about looking at things differently. It's about looking at images in a different way. So for some years, I have sent out an email most days that's called, first it was called Today, then it was called Good Morning. But what I do is I put together 25, 30 images, just very disparate images, and I put them in an email. I have a list of hundreds of people, friends, not people I know, people I don't know, all around the world, and I just throw these images into an email. And it's kind of the opposite of a blog. A blog you have to go look at. This, I'm just hurling this shit at you. You can decide to look at it or not. And so I've tried to put a narrative together based on the theme of the conference. And it's about this to me. So these are random images that I've just found, stolen from different websites, blogs, whatever. But I've tried to put together what I feel is my view of work. I think this is an awesome prayer. And by that, I think being bewildered about life, about what we do, about the condition of the world is a good thing. And I take a lot of my philosophy from things that went before us. Of course, Thoreau, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. And these images, I believe that images provoke a feeling in us. We look at something, our eyes change. We look at, what is that? And I'm interested in things that we haven't seen before. I have no fucking idea what this is, but it's phenomenal. Things like this, how they make you feel when you see them. Are they mysterious? Do they provoke a feeling from childhood? This is a brilliant quote, I think, that we should apply to our lives, that the color of truth is gray. There are no black and whites. And then, of course, the devil. Excuse me, that was loud, wasn't it? This kind of, yeah, you know? And this, to me, this is obviously right after World War II, that, you know, everybody was going to come home from the war and get some bitchin' modernist house. And I asked myself, well, what are the soldiers of today getting when they get home? Post-traumatic stress syndrome, drug addiction, alcoholism, suicide. So it's not all, you know, beyond the war waits happiness. Now, I have, believe it or not, read the Bible, and I don't remember this part. Plus, you know, most records are either 33 or 45, but this is 16 2/3. That's really slow. And I missed this part, too. And these things remind me of this. You know, how people go through their lives blindly following a belief or a religion or a political system that they're oblivious. This is wonderful. This is a little dark in here. It's going to lighten up in a minute or two, but you know, people that live a blank life, what's the purpose? And then, of course, death and its problems. I always thought that after you died, all the shit was, you know, you're done. But also, I'm very concerned about the word spacing. But it is good service under sanitary conditions. So, Tibor, our old friend and troublemaker, this is a great statement. When you make something no one hates, no one loves it either. So, how to love and be loved. Isn't that what we all want in a certain way, I think? Self-examination. Now, these, of course, are the things that I am applying from my own point of view to these images. We each have our own point of view. I mean, we all felt that way at some time, you know? But when I see an image like this kind of found photograph that is so provocative to me, I wonder who these beautiful little children, what are they looking at? Why are they smiling? My husband, a factory worker, an ordinary factory worker. And of course, let's not forget this. We are only one small mite of humanity. And I don't think they should have hyphenated necessarily. A lot of the type things in these I'm concerned with, but I think this is a feeling that resonates with all of us from time to time. And this is scary. You know, I mean, that's a private world of darkness right there. And I think we have all felt this in the last few years as well. And this leads me into this next image, which I think is a good segue. The younger guy looks an awful lot like, to me, looks an awful lot like Michelle Bachmann's husband. I could be wrong about that. And then those big questions, you know, about our life, about living and dying. Again, you know, when I find these images, I have no idea of what they are about, what they're from, what they mean. But I really would like to know what's going on here. This is, to me, this is just the most exquisite piece. Whether she was cut out to be put into a locket or something, or whether she was just cut out of the picture. This is something I also feel is important to ponder in the work that we do, to try to push things. Sorry. And to figure out what the hell happened. Because real literature doesn't earn money. So again, the images are about how we feel about them and their relationship to one another in terms of context or how they're sequenced. He left the party because there were too many of the intelligentsia present. We've all done that. Or at least I have. I'm getting smaller, Lou, every day. And then, of course, this guy literally is. I'm just disappointed that the other container should have had a picture of him on it as well, with a picture. This was the prototype of the original Playboy. No, it wasn't, but this was a coloring book. Hello? Yeah, it's Dick. Now this picture, I think I love this picture not so much for the weird little space guy, but for the old lady with the cigarette hanging out of her mouth. I love her. I want you to think about this, especially as it relates to the next image. Now we get a little into art, into what we need, what I need to look at for inspiration often has nothing to do with design. It has to do with looking at art, to looking at things in a different way and asking how we can incorporate some of those feelings into the work that we do. And to find beauty in the simplest, in a piece of trash, in a piece of an old photograph. I mean, a postage stamp, an old postage. This is one of the most seriously great elephant illustrations I've ever seen. It's exquisite. And of course, what the old guys said, you know, how we can learn from the masters, that creative impulse is a mystery, that ideas come from any place. This is, if I could own one thing, I think this would be it. This is Van Gogh's palette. And I think it's just exquisite. And then, of course, nobody could sport white underwear like Picasso. I mean, he could really do it. And again, you know, Picasso, just all these guys, Duchamp, Man Ray, these are our forefathers that were kind of charting new ways. That to me, I still find that Dadaism it's probably more relevant today than it was when it was being made. Jean Cocteau. And then, of course, Paul Renner in the development of the original designs for Futura. To take little bits from people that were great artists, great writers, and kind of have that inform the way we see the world. Can you imagine what this must have been like to have been a student at the Bauhaus? I mean, unbelievable period of time. These people rocked, and they were fucking really weird. In terms of that period of time, these were all of the crazy people coalescing in one place, creating a body of work that still lives with us. Or Moholy Nagy teaching at Black Mountain College. And for those young people who don't know what Black Mountain College is, I really encourage you to look into it. It was a school in North Carolina that carried on the philosophy and principles of the Bauhaus, and it was a remarkable period of time. I don't know if you can see what this guy is drawing, but it's the Coca-Cola logo. And I look at that, the craftsmanship that went into that kind of work. I have such admiration for that kind of work. This is beautiful. I wish trucks still looked like that. This is just a little reminder to some of us of where we come from, as is this. And of course, Paula's great quote about the heart and how it needs to get out there onto the table. These to me represent these are our grandparents or our great-grandparents in terms of our profession, the people that made things, that built things, that crafted things. Without the aid of technology, but with their imagination, with their head, their heart, and their hands. This is also something extremely important, I believe, that to be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to forever remain a child. That without looking backward, we have a harder time knowing where we're going. This André Gide was a French philosopher, Nobel Prize-winning philosopher, but this is the most seriously bizarre cover. This is an ad from the 50s by the Eames office. This was the design of the ad and the speakers. Superb, just perfect. I'm also interested, and most interested, in design that we've never seen, a kind of anonymous design that I'm not interested in seeing the great pieces that we've all grown up with. I'm interested in seeing what their weird, second cousin did, that these pieces, whether they're naive or whether they're sophisticated, they all have a sense of beauty to me. And I know that there are people that I like this kind of work, or I like that kind of work, I hate this, or I love that. I like it all. As long as it's interesting, I love it. I'm excited by all of this stuff. Paul Gabor, a great French graphic designer in the 60s, a piece done 1962. That was all done by hand. The influence of the Bauhaus, of craftsmanship in making an idea, whether it was done in Israel or Germany. Beautiful old typography. How a sense of a feeling can come through this piece that we're not going to steal this piece. We're going to go, oh, look at that part. That's what I like about this. But by the way, I recently was looking into that quote about good artists borrow, great artists steal, right? And it's usually attributed to Picasso. But as I was researching it, I learned that Picasso actually stole that from T.S. Eliot. And it was a rather long, beautiful thing that T.S. Eliot wrote, and Picasso took it, truncated it, simplified it, and put Picasso. It was fucking brilliant. And this is something, as we get older, to retain the sense of excitement that we felt when we were young. When we were children, when we were young designers just starting out. And so these little throwaway pieces of, this was a wrapper for oranges. These are magnificent examples of what we did before. That's fantastic. The sentiment of something, the feeling, the idea. Something as simple as a little piece of typography, unknown, unseen. These are all things that I revel in these things. I love these things. And they're all people that we've never heard of. This is probably the greatest precursor to every hipster logo that's been happening. This is perfect. Gorgeous. And these little sayings, it's wonderful to take some of these things, again, these thoughts, and incorporate them into our lives. I had discovered this whole group of these posters, and the very, very first thing I did was send them all to Paula Scher and said, Paula, you know, you're going to love these. And of course, this work, Paula will freely admit that this is the kind of work that inspired some of her great work for the public theater. And without question, the fucking greatest letterhead ever. Okay, yeah, we want you to work on, we got a new thing, it's Robot Salesman Limited. That's fantastic. Or the idea of this beautiful typography for such a bleak pestilence, famine, and grim and bloody warfare. This kind of typography that when you see this stuff up close and you realize that a person did this with a pen and with French curves and rulers, it's astounding. And of course, they're all anonymous people. All of these people are anonymous. Another precursor to a lot of hipster kind of stuff that's being done today. And how we feel in the modern world. I like the red one, Bob. I'm not. The blue's nice, but. Now, this will seem silly, but this is a painting. This is not a photograph. This is how people worked in the 40s and 50s. This is awesome. Before the old and the new, I don't know, what do you guys think? Laddie has got beef chunks and meat byproducts with gravy. Skippy is both dog and cat food. I don't know, Bob, what do you think? And then there were these periods of mid-century design that were perfect, beautiful, beautiful pieces of design and typography. This could be printed tomorrow, it would be exquisite. I was going to wear this today, but it's a little chilly. This is pretty funny, I think. I made it, I sold it, I bought it. And then, of course, the art of love, about how we feel. This is from the movie The Kiss by Edison, one of the first motion pictures. And then, of course, what do you mean, what happens now? Come on, that's funny. This is a photograph of a shaker, part of a shaker dance. And this offering is so beautiful. The idea, and that's what we do, isn't it? You know, we make things and we give them to the world, to the public. And I liken us, we're all fucking affirmation junkies, right? We all need to be affirmed. And it's like when we're a child. In my day, you made your parents an ashtray. I don't know what they do today, but you know, you make this dreadful ashtray. You bring it home and you give it to your mom and you go, I made this for you. And of course, you know, parenthetically, you're saying, do you love me? And of course your mom loves you. It could be a hideous thing, but so in a way, you know, when we do get that affirmation, when we feel that we've succeeded in our work, you know, you're somebody's hero. But also to, maybe the hardest thing, I think, is to love your own life. That feeling of comfort and love. And then, of course, why are we here? To evolve. This is exquisite. A handwriting workbook for children. But the sentiment, be just yet always kind, $4. I don't know where the $4 comes in, you know, what the, but the idea that this child kept this was his exercise or her exercise book. And then, of course, love and family and childhood. And discovery and learning. And exploring. These things are so important to us as people. And I think that's really important to remember. First and foremost, we're people, we're human beings. This is an awesome quote that I think we should all try to live our lives by. To get out of our comfort zone. This is rather long, forgive me, but I do think it's a quite beautiful sentiment by Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers rocked. He was an awesome human being. Forgive me, just a second. So those feelings of belonging, of growing, of learning, of aspiring to, helping each other, being a part of something, reaching for things, a beautiful composition that was by Herbert Matter, one of the greatest designers ever. Now, so I sent these out over the years, and this was a note. A friend had asked for me to put a friend of hers on the list. And I did, and I just didn't pay any attention to his email address. And when I looked him up, I got this very nice note, and I didn't know who he was, so I looked him up, and he works for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory at NASA. And I wrote him a note. I said, anything I could do to inspire somebody at NASA is awesome, so thanks. And I said, can I go to Mars? And he wrote me back that he was on the Mars project. And I looked up some of his papers. I couldn't fucking understand the first. This guy was literally a rocket scientist, right? So this, coming to close now, this is the Spanish translation of A Brave New World, but I love the fact that they turned it into Un Mundo Feliz, a happy world. This is seriously important to me. I always do that. To me, this is important. It may not mean shit to you, but to me, it's important. Because, you know, it's 9:30. Oh, shit, I'm going to die. And we are all going to die, right? So this is something really that we need to consider in what we do, how we spend our time. But keep smiling. Because at the end, I did the best I could. And, you know, I remember showing that slide, Remember You Will Die, at a little conference that Michael Cronin was at. And Michael was ill at the time, didn't have a lot of time left. And he saw that slide and he just smiled, and it was very, very poignant. Anyway, in closing, you know, this to me is the message that we all need to learn from yesterday. Live right now and hope for tomorrow, but to never stop questioning. So basically, That's all, folks. Thank you.